tuned into the I.M.A.G.E TV podcast, episode number 65. And we're here at the Iowa Prison to Pipeline Criminal Justice Reform Seminar. We are having a beautiful time. We've got great guest speakers. We've heard from Pastor Bell. We've heard from Joe Johnson. We've heard from many others. Marcus McIntosh from News Channel 8. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you all this action live on location. Next up, we have one of our speakers who has a funeral today. He still made sure that he was committed to being here and giving his word. I want to introduce to you Joe Johnson.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Johnson, and I'm honored to stand before you today. I never imagined I'd be speaking at a conference about prison because for a long time, prison was the place I thought would define me. But my story is about what can happen when people choose not to give up on someone, and what can happen when a community comes together to make second chances real, just like Pastor Bell spoke about. I grew up with hopes and dreams like everyone else, but somewhere along the way, broken choices and broken systems collided. I found myself behind prison walls, convicted of a federal crime of mail fraud, sentenced to a 12-month split sentence, 6 months in federal prison camp and 6 months under house arrest, with 18 months of supervised release. Let me be clear, prison is dehumanizing. It strips away most all of your rights, your name, your dignity, and your sense of worth. But there's one thing. Here's the thing. Prison also forced me to confront who I was and who I could become in a place of despair. God met me with His love. And through people who believed in me, I began to believe I wasn't destined to be a statistic. I wasn't just an inmate number. I was a child of God with a purpose. Absolutely. When I came out of prison, though, I had the reality wall hit me. No job, no trust, no place to belong. And that's when I realized if I was going to make it, I needed more than just my own determination. I needed a community that gave me opportunity, support, and accountability. Most of the men I met in prison did not have a healthy community to go back to, and as a result, we see statistics like this. Iowa locks up a higher percentage of its people than almost any democratic country on earth. The United States has 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prison population. 47,500 Iowans are behind bars or under court supervision almost at all times. Iowa releases over 140,000 people each year. Reentry opportunities are one of the biggest struggles. Recidivism rate in Iowa is 35%, which is relatively low in the United States. But they're reincarcerated within 3 years, 35% of those that come out. Unemployment rate for formerly incarcerated is nearly 5 times higher than the general population. And over 60% of those leaving prison are unemployed a year later, seeking work but not finding it because of their criminal history. When I got out, I had a community of people that came around me. A church community came around me and my family, and because of that community, they made somebody else hire me. As a result of that, I had 26 years of a successful career in small business. Awesome. But the men I met in incarceration didn't have the same privilege that I had of a community. And I thought, why should it be true that a middle-class white man, would have opportunity for community that these other beautiful men that I got the privilege of meeting from all different races and backgrounds don't have the same opportunity? I felt that was wrong, and I didn't understand that until I had the privilege of meeting these incredible men behind bars. That realization became the seed for Change Course. We built it to be the kind of place that I had when I walked out, a community where people coming out of prison are surrounded with encouragement, practical tools, and relationships that help them not just survive, but thrive, just like that Pastor Bell talked about. And here's what I learned, not just from my life, but from walking with so many others coming out of incarceration. Number one, they need dignity and belief. People need to be seen not for what they did, but for who they can become. They need practical support. They need housing, employment, transportation. Those aren't luxuries. They're lifelines. Without them, success is nearly impossible. But they also need accountability and belonging. None of us grows in isolation. People succeed when they're surrounded by a community that both supports them and challenges them. And they need a new story. If all a person hears is that they're broken, they'll live into that. But if they're given a vision of hope, and they told they're a person of value that has a great gifts and abilities for this community to thrive, they can become that as well. So why am I here today? Because none of this happens alone. We as a community hold the keys. We can either make it nearly impossible for people to succeed after prison, or we can open doors to redemption and restoration. Change Course exists because someone believed change was possible in me. And I'm here to tell you it's possible in every single person who walks out of prison. The question is, will we as a community provide what they need so they don't go back? One of the things that Jesus said, what is the greatest commandment? He said to love your Lord, your God, with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. But he said the second one is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. If we're going to love our neighbor, it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you resources. And it's going to cost you inconvenience. And the question is, are you willing to be inconvenienced for that person who is your neighbor? And then they ask Jesus, who's my neighbor? And he goes in to tell the story of the Good Samaritan, right? A guy who took care of a man he didn't even know. Your neighbor is the person right beside you that needs help. Not because you know them, but because they're there. And it's your responsibility to say, I'm willing to be inconvenienced because that person's worth it. If you will do that, we can change this world. This crazy, awful, divided world. One person at a time. If we do, we won't just break the cycle of recidivism. We will unlock futures, we will restore families, and we will build safer, stronger communities. I put some brochures in the back. If you know someone who needs help getting a job, Change Course is all about that. It's a 5-month program that develops people over that period of time and gives them and leads them to opportunities for sustainable employment. Most all of them have criminal background, which is a barrier to employment. Let's break down the barriers, folks. Let's make a change in this place. And let's give opportunity where it belongs, to the person who's worth it. Thank you so much for letting me be here. Bobby, thank you for inviting me.
All right, that was great. Thanks, Joe. All right, so we're kind of going a little bit in a different order because of our flow and crowd of people, so just kind of go with the flow. Again, we talk about prison, and one of the things that I was never aware of the whole time that I was in prison was the law of slavery. The fact that slavery was abolished in 1865. The 13th Amendment states and has put and set into law where it still stands today that slavery was abolished in 1865 except for prison, which means slavery is still legal in prison. And this is why I wish more people could be aware of this. The fact that slavery is still legal in prison means that people can still work for 24 cents an hour. I believe people in some states are as low as 2 cents an hour. Louisiana. And that's because of the law that still stands. And we have to come together to change the wording. Now, don't get me wrong. We have to protect society. We need prisons. We need police officers. All right? We have to keep our kids safe. However, the fact that you use that word slavery still being legal, and the history of that, and the trickle effects that come through that, and the affections that you feel when you go through prison. This was intended for African Americans, okay? Now, as we come into today's world, the same culture that intended it for African Americans, it is now affecting their own culture. And what do? We can't get upset, as Pastor Bell spoke about. The people, the white people of today had nothing to do with that. And, we can't put our heads down and snare and act like we have some attitude because of people that had nothing to do with this. We have to come together and be able to make a change in that law. Just like we have white people here today that stand on justice, full circle recovery. It's people that are here, they're fighting against things like that. But we have to bring awareness to this. There are people who still work in correctional facilities, law enforcement officers, who have no clue that this law even exists. They're not even aware that this law is into play. Because again, prison is one of those things that's hidden. It's one of those things that when you leave prison, you don't ever want to talk about it again. You don't ever want to relive that moment. However, it's real and it's serious, and it's cutting through our world. And people are getting locked up, and they're still under that old history of authority. And so these speakers here today, I brought something for them. And before Joe leaves, I made sure that, in despite of the audience and the crowds and all that, the sacrifices and the importance of this was so important to me that I wanted to make sure that these guys were awarded and had plaques. So I made sure that I went out and I got them plaques, because that's how important this is, to stand up and speak about something like this. Now, we are going to break about 10:30. We've got probably about 20 minutes. I want to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is going to be Cortez Kellum Ale. Now, let me tell you a little bit about him, okay, that I know. When I got out of prison, I worked at the Evelyn K. Davis Center for Working Families. Cortez came in. He was a loose cannon. He was running around all over the place, but he had a heart that I could identify that cared about people. And not everybody could see that. All they could see was hearing his words, his actions, and seeing that things didn't line up according to their agenda. Well, things aren't always going to line up according to our agenda, but that doesn't mean that we X people out. This man is running for city council. and he called me and he said, "Do you mind if I speak at your seminar?" And my gut feeling wanted to say no, but I couldn't do that because I've been the same person in the exact same position that asked for the exact same opportunities. And I had no choice but to say yes. So I introduce to you my brother Cortez.
Does this thing work? Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, hello. My name's Cortez I.M.A.G.E. I run for City Council Ward 1. One's Iowa. Oh, you told me to speak up? Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, my name's Cortez I.M.A.G.E. I run for City Council Ward 1, Des Moines, Iowa. I did 22 years in prison for 21 grams of crack. I went in when I was 18. I got out about around, pretty much when I'm 42, I'm 43 now. I've been out a year since August 2nd. I ain't been out of institutions for a whole year since I was age 6. When I was first incarcerated in Kirksville, Missouri, because, institutional racism in Burlington, Iowa. 3 kids ran up on me. I defended myself. I was a black kid. I wanted to apologize off I went here. And here I stand today. When it comes to prison and the pipeline, I'm well familiar with it because I think I epitomize that theory very well. From a 6-year-old child to a 43-year-old man, my life has been a frame of references called incarceration, mass incarceration, all based on the history of a people in this country who has been discriminated against forever. And it's just pure and simple. The question is, why does prison exist and why does pipeline exist? The 13th Amendment says that it is legal for people to do forced servitude if they're convicted duly of a crime. I only know one crime for a brother or a sister in this country, that's being black or being born, not of the same skin complexion as some other people for some odd reason. That's the crime. But when you go into prison, they got industries. State, they have it, state industries in Iowa. They make license plates, they make soap, they make shirts, things like that. They have state industries and you get paid by the cents. Back in the day, they used to have maintenance pay when you got $5.25. They did away with that stuff. Good old evolution did that way. But so when you go into state prison, you do go. I think that depending on different prisons, like Corinda, they got a great program where you go and make, camper trailers or something like that? And you make trailers and then at Fort Dodge, Corinda, Fort Dodge, they got a factory where they make mittens and all sorts of stuff. But these aren't skills that people take home with them for real, though. You hear me? When you go work in these industries, you're not going to work, to acquire skills. You're going there to pretty much pass time. To, try to, scavenge a living inside this hellhole we call prison. Because a lot of people like me, I did 22 years and I did it by myself. I didn't have people sending me money, I didn't have business, I didn't have a baby mama, I didn't have all them, them accessories that come with prison life sometimes. So when you go into these industries, you go in here really try to find some way so you can make sure you can buy some soap, you can have your hygiene, maybe some Zuzus and wham-whams out the commissary, and then you might make anywhere between, like I said, the one in Corinda is you make a lot more money, but mostly you make about anywhere between $25 to $40 a month if you're lucky inside these industries. Now fast forward to the feds, they got a whole prison industry called Unicorn. And I worked in Unicorn. I was down. One of the fast souls out here, boy. I be at that little hump. Because if you don't so fast, you don't make no money. And so you really get glued to your seat. And I got a couple bumps in my butt a couple times inside that seat trying to burn rubber, you hear me? But again, you're only doing it for cents on the bucket. So you might get 12 cents for this bucket. And this bucket consists of 35 pieces that you got to assemble in less than 12 minutes if you want to get your quota. If you don't get your quota, then you don't get your full grade. And so now you find yourself being, chained to a machine in prison, making stuff for the military or the government that really has sent you here with their own policies in the first place. So you're really working against yourself, even in the industry that they call you to come here to get some type of money or some type of skill to go home with. I don't know too many places that hire persona. Because if you know somebody hire persona, tell them I'm great soul. I can darn the hell out of stock. I swear to God. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So, you know that. I just want to take time, you know what I'm saying, to look at the fact that we have to understand what this pipeline consists of. It consists of a bunch of policies that are put in place for specific reasons. And what the specific reason is, well, we got to go back to the 60s. But I think Michelle Alexander, the new Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying, told her what the reasons were. If you haven't read the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, you're so damn late. She laid it down eloquently, the historical trend of what you call this prison pipeline. In Iowa, prison pipelines consist of pretty much a lot of people of color, you know what I'm saying, in place. But we can't just put the color in there because, hey, man, hell with it. You know what I'm saying? You just can't talk about the people of color because you got to talk about the white folks too, because the white folks are going to jail just as much as black folks going to jail because they got this thing called narcotics or drugs that seems that since the city can't, or the state or the government can't get in control of. So they use this right here, you know what I'm saying, pretty much. Now, this way gets a little more complicated because when we talk about 13th Amendment making money off prisoners, it's no longer done so in the form of industries. It's not done in the form of just, like you said, slavery. You find it, you capture a body, you take that body and you market it. Well, that happens pretty much for prison right now. You know what I'm saying? You take a person on the street and they're worth $25,000 to feed, house, clothes, and everything else. So you got what you call a predatory industry, prison industry, or the prison industrial complex, who create up this subsidiary or this sub-economy, what we call the prison industry, and then they exploit that. So they exploit every carcass that's in prison. Not the prisons, not the state, but you know what I'm saying, capitalists or privateers or whoever you want to call them. There's individuals who own companies who set up these cheap markets for this prison and feeds it. And then ask it to keep growing. Because of a prison industry, if people stop going to prison, then this industry shrinks them, right? And that's a lot of money because it takes machines to make Kool-Aid packs. It takes machines to make mace. It takes manufacturing equipment. So now there's a lot of money invested in this thing called prison. And this is where the 13th Amendment becomes more of a, you know what I'm saying, more and less physical, more conceptual for us as we get along. You don't have to slave in prison no more to people make money off you. All you got to do is be poached upon and captured because you got an addiction, or because you're homeless, or because you found a rust belt in life. Now people can, you know what I'm saying, atomize your life and turn it into a little economy and, you know what I'm saying, use the 13th Amendment to, you know what I'm saying, make it legal. Every person that goes to prison now, whether they white, black, brown, are being commercialized. And it's not going to stop because the people who are commercializing are making money off of it. And the only way you can do it, you have to combat the industry yourself. So if you want to know this pipeline, it carries material to a source to be refined and be manufactured and be turned into, you know what I'm saying, products. The only way you're going to be able to fight that is first you got to deal with criminology, you got to deal with penology, and then you got to deal with, you know what I'm saying, policies put down by the government. Like you said, you got to go down to city council and challenge laws. You got to, you know, talk to your legislators at the Capitol, and you know what I'm saying, and then you got to go to D.C. You have to make this a national agenda because it's not about working no more. It's just about warehousing you and taking away our family and taking away our time. You know what I'm saying, for crimes that don't really suit the time. It don't. You know what I'm saying, 22 years with 21 grams of crack, hey, I never complained. Now, one time I sat in prison and complained about my old Woolworths coattails, you hear me? I sat there and educated myself. Sat in the law library, became the head tutor, educated everybody in the prison, got banned from education. They banned from educating. You know what I'm saying? Sounds too effective, now I use it for recruiting. No, there's people that believed in me because I believed in them. Because I know that even though I went to prison at 18, I was not a bad kid. I just come from a circumstance of life that, you know, at least these type of things. But when I got in there, I had people literally, like Bobby Pate, like Hindu, Dennis Henderson. Everybody, a lot of people might know Dennis Henderson. You know what I'm saying? Urban Dreams. You know what I'm saying? Broad Lines. Guys, you know what I'm saying? Keep Walker. Saeed Waterloo. Keep Walker. You know what I'm saying? They breathed upon me. They grabbed me and said, "Give me a Thomas Oakland Street." You know what I'm saying? These brothers grabbed me and said, "Come on, Cortez, you're not no bad kid. Hey, don't let this prison Now, the Lord just mess you up, because they had me in the gang program. I did 5 years in solitary in Fort Madison in 220 because I wanted to cooperate with the gang program. Because the gang problem wasn't an issue in Iowa. It was a behavior problem. They wanted to control individuals in there because if you're making money or if you're a threat to staff, they'd rather have you locked down all day instead of trying to figure out how to make a staff better. Hold us here. The one thing about it though, if you want to deal with this prison pipeline theory, man, you got to deal with it legally, first of all. The strides of civil rights were made by the NAACP and in the courts. Protests and civil disobedience did not desegregate school. Going in the courtrooms, invited legally, desegregated. It's the same thing. We had to legislate, this problem away. You hear me? We had to make sure, because this is where it started at. You hear me? It started in the halls of government. There was a policy formed, and there's a policy being carried out on a day-to-day process, on a day-to-day basis. The prison pipeline starts down here at City Hall, at the Capitol up there, with the Gold Dome up there, and always in Washington, D.C. I appreciate you guys letting me speak here today, man. Hey, but like I said, this requires a much deeper conversation because this concept has been really intellectualized more than we can ever believe. It's the whole industry attached to it. And that must be that industry is going to fight us tooth and nail. Shut this pipeline down. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cortez. That was awesome. This is what it's about. Not everybody comes up here is going to be, at different levels in their speaking. And so I'm glad that we're able to provide this kind of opportunity. This brother is running for city council. He's come a long way.
Absolutely.
They tried to throw him away when he got out. Act like he was nothing. The man spent 5 years in the hole in prison. Can you imagine that? 5 years in the hole. Locked him up like he was an animal. And here he is today out here with a message, trying to better himself, running for city council. That's what this is about, giving people opportunity. So, we are going to take just a quick break. We've got Marcus McIntosh is going to come up. Actually, if you guys want to still stay in your seats, Marcus McIntosh is going to come up. He's going to talk to you a little bit, and then we're going to go right back in to our guest speakers.
Okay.
And most of you guys may know Marcus McIntosh from News Channel 8. He's the anchor. He is also an affiliation with the Image for Lives program. He's dedicated his time and sacrificed his time with Image for Lives and with a lot of the movements, with a lot of people coming out of prison. So, Marcus.
Yeah. I'm not going to say a whole lot, but I know I'm going to address something everybody's probably wondering. I work at KCCI, as Bobby said. What is this square, this egghead doing talking to us about prison pipeline? Well, everybody has a relative, everybody has cousins, everybody has friends that went to prison, so I'm in that same boat. Growing up, I wasn't a bad kid. My parents went to college, both have college degrees, so that's something I aspired to, so I looked up to them, and that's the path I wanted to follow. But I had friends growing up who, wanted to go get high, they wanted to go drink, they wanted to go beat somebody up, and they would look at me and say, well, you can't come with us. They knew my family. They said, Marcus, you can't come with us, we got to do this on our own. And I would ask them why, and pardon my language, but they said, because your dad will beat both our asses if you get caught doing this. So my father kept me on the straight and narrow. I wasn't a bad kid. I was mischievous. I did my little thing. But my parents and sports kept me out of trouble because I like sports. I like school. That's just kind of what I did. And I met Bobby. Well, before I get to meeting Bobby, I want everyone to get on your phones, social media, hashtag on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, hashtag image, 4 lives. Because this is something that people need to go to. This is something we need young people to go to. Bobby's been on this grind for, I don't know how many years, but he's been on this grind for a while. So we got to get people to come out to these things. And I want to challenge each and every one of you to follow Bobby on Facebook, follow Image for Lives on Facebook, and the next time he holds one of these, bring 3 more people.
Yes.
And then have them bring 3 people. Because these are things that the young people need to see. They need to see people and hear people who have these experiences that'll keep them from following that same path, and that's very important. And like I said, I met Bobby. Bobby's been on this grind for a while. I think I met him maybe, it was before the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Well before the pandemic. He was lifting weights at the John Iron Broke Y. I had 2 questions when I saw him. First of all, who is this big diesel dude with all this weight, benching like it's nothing, and why is he leaving it all when he's done so I can clean it up? Those are 2 questions I have for Bobby. But Bobby's been a good dude. He's been on this grind. He was one of the first people heavily involved with the restoration of felons' voting rights. He's been to Washington, D.C. to lobby for that. We've interviewed him at KCCI for a number of things. So Bobby's doing his thing. For him to continue doing his thing, we need people to support him. So you got to get people out here. You got to get people at these things, because the more we can spread this to the younger generation, the more the prison to pipeline issue or criminal justice reform could become a moot point. That's not going to happen in 5 or 10 years. It could be generations from now, but that is the path this could take. So we need everybody to get people here, because this, what's happening this morning, just talking about it is important. And Bobby, thank you for letting me speak. Get those phones out, hashtag Image for Lives, get it out there. Let